That's what I forgot to do. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. The doctor is in. I just reconnected my microphone, so now you are hearing me. Better late than never. And let's test our sound alerts. Thank you, EdFan, for being first in the chat and redeeming first. And hello there. Got the sound alerts working, so let us begin. Let me make sure of something here, because I want to see properties. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Hey, how are you, by the way? Alright, let's hope I remember what all happened previously, because I don't have a little backlog of text that I can look at. Remain calm and let us pray. It's actually kind of funny because in Apollo Justice Ace Attorney, which is the fourth game in this series, there is a character named Romain Letus. Just fun little Ace Attorney fact for the day.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have?
There's only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case.
Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai.
See, I told you, that's the guy I saw.
This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter.
Doing okay for the most part. Tried to catch up on the first part of the game. Gotcha. How much did you miss? I don't think you missed much.
What does all this mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
This photo by itself doesn't prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Engard clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume. Only the first half of the stream? I thought I only had like maybe 10 extra minutes. Oh well.
If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is...
the defendant.
How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client?
If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. But if I raise an objection here and blow it, then I would put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotta took, there's... well, the only option I've got is that there's something strange with it, so... There's something strange with this photo. I knew this was coming, right?
Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth?
I think we can all agree there's nothing strange with this photo. There's no way for the defense to debunk this photo even with a bunker buster.
Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, please look at the photo one more time.
If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct?
Well... I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. Where in the heck did she take this photo from, anyway? It's a lot of focus. Why can't she take a good shot, especially when it counts?
Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange?
Boy, what is strange about this photo? Oh, crap. I don't have access to the court record. I have a feeling it's this teddy bear here. If you can give me one moment, you can loop. No, that's okay. It's okay. I'll just skip the text if need be.
Take that!
The strange thing is somewhere around here, I think. Somewhere.
Around here?
I think. Am I seeing something you all are not?
Looks like there was no problem with this photo after all.
The problem was with that brain of that lawyer, Your Honor. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna, real quick, look at the... Let's see, this was Jammin' Ninja's button. Found in On Guard's pants. Alright, let's look here. I mean, I don't see anything in the pants, but I don't think that's a contradiction yet. The knife stayed behind. Strangled with a scarf, stabbed with a knife. Attempted suicide report. Look at the crime scene. No, there's nothing out of the ordinary. Wine glass, guitar case. Maybe the map. Wait a minute. Where was this photo taken from? Was it from... Because depending on if it was taken from the right side of this hallway or the left side, it could be coming out of the wrong room. Alright, let's see. Glossy photo. The gears are on the right-hand side. So it's not a mirrored picture. Oh. Oh! No way. That's... I think I see the problem. Do you guys see it? Let's compare this again. No, it's not the thing on his shoulder. It's something else. Something wrong with the pants. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Let's finish this text, and then we'll go back, and we know exactly what to point out this time. The pattern doesn't go all the way around the right leg? Well, there's a reason for that. I'll explain when I point it out. But wait!
You are the one who let your last chance fly away from you, Mr. Wright. That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial, nor is there any need for more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. This court finds the defendant, Matt On Guard, guilty. The accused will surrender to the court immediately, to be held pending trial at a higher court within a month from today's date. That is all. This court is adjourned.
Okay, so reload. Alright, I'm gonna do fast travel here. Yada yada, got the picture. Yeah. Something strange with it. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Alright, we're gonna save here just to be safe. Okay, what about this photo is strange?
Take that!
I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here.
What are you pointing to? His ankles?
If you could see this person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't.
And? What does that mean?
The costume person in this photo could not have been Mr. On Guard.
What is the meaning of this?
I wonder if you would care to elaborate, with actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama.
His socks. You can see his socks.
Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his hakama up just to walk. There's only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. All right, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. Huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. Tabi? Is that the name of the samurai socks or something? He's just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride. Okay. Yeah, good to know. Thank you. Your samurai fact of the day from our resident martial arts person. Or at least someone who has at least studied some of that. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? Then I haven't damaged his case at all?
Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not met on guard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless.
Actually thank Amazon for that? Okay. I figured it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. I think you've proven that the person inside this costume is not met on guard. In that case, who is this a photo of? Who is the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume? Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah, why is he so calm?
Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts.
Saving.
Who is the person in this photograph?
I have a sneaking suspicion. It's the victim.
Are you saying this is who you think was in the costume?
Well, I know there isn't a lot to back me up here, but... Sometimes I wonder about you. Do you just pick the first piece of evidence you see? I can't believe it. I didn't think you would mess up here, of all places.
That's enough! This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I gotta get through all this again? Well, that's what happened last year. The victim was the one in the samurai costume. Of course, then again, we do know of at least one person who is a bit on the shorter side. There we go.
Adrian Andrews?
If you want to know who that Nickel Samurai is, it's none other than this woman. And why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. On Guard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. On Guard that night.
And how does all that add up?
It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. On Guard's fingerprints all over it.
The knife that was used as a murder weapon!
Why don't you just say what it is you want, Wright? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corrida. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime.
Order! 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 It looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony.
All right, this is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means that the trial will go on for another day. One more day? Ah! If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya...
Now then, we shall set Miss Adrian Andrews' testimony for tomorrow.
What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court. Raise an objection.
Now then.
Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass the verdict today.
I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Andrews' testimony.
I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial.
But we cannot continue to this unexpected development.
Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor.
But what do you mean by that?
That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Adrian Andrews is all happening according to plan. Even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. But... What?! Edgeworth's attitude changed? You're not sure you like it? Well, I mean, he has gotten some character development during his sabbatical. So...
What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution's lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was played out in advance by that man? Somehow I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. Exactly.
Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess.
To be continued. Alright, it's going back. Alright, I need to shift my position here because, I don't know, something's not quite right with my posture. There we go. That should help. Dude, I can't believe it, Adrian. No way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See, she could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one who came to wake me up? Then, dude, you're saying it was really her? Yes, she's the real killer. She's the one who murdered Juan Corrida. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix? You think her motive is related to You think her motive is related to Celeste Impacts' missing suicide note, right? I swear, I don't know what happened with my tongue today. I, washed it earlier, and now I can't do a thing with it. Yes. Miss Andrews depended on her... See what I mean? Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impax as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impax suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got so close to Mr. Corrida. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible, but one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impax. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of the ship. Don't let your guard down yet.
Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please.
The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation? I'm the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt on guard.
I see. Now then.
Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request.
Yes, sure. What is it?
I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently.
No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland.
If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan, but this was a private matter between Juan and myself.
So it was a fry and bait matter. Or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing.
But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. Well, except maybe the defense over there, but anyway. I think there is someone who would beg to differ.
I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews.
Very well, then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. Oh, 1 second. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room, and there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Hey, Shadow Knight, thank you for joining. How are you?
You poured yourself a glass of juice?
Yes, sadly I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I'm doing well, thank you. Glad to hear you are doing well as well. We're in the middle of Case 4 of Game 2.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Phoenix. She's one cool and collected customer. She has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking, so you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant this trial is over, understand? So does that mean I press everything? It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. And what was Mr. On Guard doing at that time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his many performances as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. On Guard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes? Excuse me? If? What are you... Right, I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Onguard's knife from his room? Hey, Kishu, thank you for resubbing, and thank you for temporarily lurking. Thank you for lurking while you are watching The Chosen. Glad to have you here. And guys, if you are not already following Kishu Kyralia, give me just a moment here while I find my mouse again. There it is. Lesson, if you see a stranger, follow him, or her in this case. She's... You know, just once, I'd like to give you that shout out when the last thing you played isn't Fortnite. God help me. Well, if you like Fortnite, and then, you know, definitely check her out. If you're not into Fortnite, she does play other things. Just, you know, don't judge her based on the Fortnite alone. Fork knife is good background sound. Yeah, if you're listening to other people eat and using forks and knives. Long live the lurkers! Ah, it's good to hear that one again. Thank you for lurking. Okay, where were we? No. Okay, so she's saying she didn't take the knife out, right? Subject, verb, object, right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. After that, I went to Juan's room. And why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Let's press that a bit further. Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon? What are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim. Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time. I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? And there was his dead body. I was in shock. You were in shock? What, was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had more romantic feelings for Mr. Corrida. Anyone randomly stumbling on a dead body would be in shock, and you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not.
I see.
What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. Hold up! So that's what she saw. Interesting. Okay. Wait a minute. Wait. No. She saw the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo, which means that she couldn't have poured that glass of juice. We'll press into this, though, because I don't think that's a direct contradiction. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next, witness? I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Corrida, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? Who in their right mind drinks tomato juice straight? I don't know. Who in their right mind drinks tomato juice in general, unless it's like soup? Or mixed with other fruits and vegetables to make a sweet beverage. I mean, I know it's a thing because people like V8 for some reason. I don't know how. But yeah, it's a thing. And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank? I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that you, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Hold up.
Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crimes photo?
This
mess of glass shards.
It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, people would simply assume that the vase was just another part of the mess.
Looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony.
I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. I was the one who knocked the flower vase over where it fell onto the guitar case. There's something a bit off about that. Let's see. Let's press it to be sure, but... What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase, and it was fairly big and heavy. I thought I would try to take Juan's pulse, so I set the glass I was holding down on the dresser, and that's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. That's odd. I thought she was always in total control of herself. And that's what she would like people to think. Always be mindful of the gap between your perception and reality. It doesn't sound like there's any glaring contradictions in her testimony just now. I warned you earlier that she would not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. The only way you're going to catch her is with some very strong, decisive evidence. I have to find something. You just have to. For Maya's sake. Alright, hold up here. Alright, so we're gonna head over to... That card bothers you? Yeah, it is an interesting card, is it not? Question is why? Why does it bother you? Okay, so naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo, which is not possible, but... You were the one... Okay, so let's... There's a couple different possibilities here. The first possibility is that the guitar case has water, but only on top of the lid. The other possibility is that I'm supposed to present the crime scene photo, which shows the guitar case opened. But we'll start with this one. There we go. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. Hey, vase case, that rhymes. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside.
That is very true.
Furthermore, there's one other strange thing about this guitar case.
And what is that?
Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor.
And what's wrong with that?
If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shard should be inside, not outside the case. Ah! What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else.
Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case.
But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it?
It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case?
Yeah, make her testify about it. The empty guitar case? I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. Sure. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either.
Alright, I'll follow along, for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know.
Looks like this really wasn't a very important point.
This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling that by now it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using any way to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. Oh, hold up. Keyboard fell down. I suppose... Oh, back up. There we go. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see... Are you sure you are the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side is taking over.
Well, Miss Andrews?
Yes, it was me. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. So, you opened the guitar case then? Yes. Well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Mr. Corrida's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think the first thing you do is call for help, not opening the guitar case. As the witness has said multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention.
Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright.
Sorry. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix, we can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up, but she's at her weakest now, so this is our chance. Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. Alright, so what do we got? Let's see. Nickel Samurai confessed something about after the stage show. Lada's camera. Radio transceiver. Magazine clipping. Guitar case. Wait a minute. The guitar case only has Corrida's fingerprints. Photo of one Corrida's murder scene. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try saving here. Okay, we're gonna try presenting the guitar case here. Objection! Aha! There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim.
What is it, Miss Andrews?
You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time?
Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time?
It was the night of the awards ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime.
Yeah, I smell bull too. You were wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? Yeah, this! I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Ugh. How many pairs of glasses does she have?
Order! Order! Order!
Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. The guitar! The bright red guitar was at the studio! Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? No, wait, that's not right either.
I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case...
Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor, please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it's wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you're so sure, Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us as to why this guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Saving.
Can you do that, Mr. Wright?
Well... Let's suppose, for a second, that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case.
The bright red guitar not being the only thing. You don't mean a bright black guitar?
So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty, is that it, Wright? I wouldn't say something that I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? What? What was inside this case? Should I present a person? But why would she be... I can't imagine that she was hiding in the case. Goodness. Wouldn't be the jamming ninja's button. I don't think there's any evidence that she was hiding inside the case. That doesn't make any sense. So... let's try the suicide report. Maybe she thinks that's in there.
Take that!
And why would something like that be inside a guitar case, let alone this one?
Why, Mr. Wright? Why?
Well, I just thought might have been possible. I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be?
Yes, and never bring it out again.
Can't a foolishly foolish fool get some love? Do you still think you can prove your theory? Can you prove the guitar case was not empty at the time of the murder? Oh, okay, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what was in the guitar case at the time of the murder? The nickel samurai costume, maybe? Alright, let's see. Try presenting that, I guess.
Take that!
This is a photograph.
Yes, but what is important is what's in that picture, Your Honor.
In this picture?
It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I am proposing is... inside the guitar case was the nickel samurai, the hero's very own costume. What?
Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct?
You mean this photo? Order! Order! Looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we?
Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. And I can see it's working for you just fine here, because you missed something very important. But I'll get to that later. Taking a swig of water here.
So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume.
Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai costume would have been Mr. Matt on guards. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places?
True, that is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case?
It was stolen from On Guard. I think it may have been stolen from Mr. On Guard.
Stolen? But why would someone do such a thing?
Maybe the thief wanted to interfere with the post-ceremony stage show. And so, if he didn't have his costume, then Mr. On Guard would be forced to go naked! Maybe you should be stripped naked and run out for making a mockery of this court. Excuse me? Mr. Matt On Guard did not take his costume off after the award ceremony. He even testified that he took a nap while still wearing his costume. Is this not correct? Yeah, he did say something like that, didn't he?
That's what I thought.
Ah, dang it. It took a while since I last saved. Alright. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, the guitar case has something to do with the murder, blah blah blah. We're a bit behind, so. What was in the guitar case at the time of the murder? Nickel Samurai costume. It was a spare costume. Mr. On Guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we were talking about was a spare one. What?
Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel?
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case?
It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose.
But why? The victim, Mr. Corridor, was the Jammin' Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act?
And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just...
Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume?
Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was...
Take that!
What is this?
On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference.
A press conference?
Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. On Guard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night.
But how can that be?
The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself.
The victim?
Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai.
He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference. But why would the victim do such a thing?
That's something I don't know quite yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something? And by confess, I'd wager he was about to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt on guard.
Yes, I guess that is what it would mean.
But if that's the case, that is not a confession, that's public disclosure.
Miss Andrews?
I can see why you're pros at what you do.
Pardon me?
Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan.
Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this.
I was the one who he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared that second costume for him, that was also me.
You?
Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure that Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought, anyway.
He was going to ruin him, huh?
It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What?
And do you know what the secret of Mr. On Guard's is, Miss Andrews?
Yeah, it's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is.
I see.
I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all. Protect Mr. On Guard?
And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand. Alright, we're going to take a short break. I'll be right back. Gotta get up and stretch. Alright. And we're back. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had the feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him.
This does account for everything.
Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright.
Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had the feeling that Matt was the murderer.
Hold it!
Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. I thought it was means, motive, and opportunity. Sorry, motive, opportunity, and means. Not evidence. Anyway. May I continue now? Matt had to kill Juan no matter what.
Hold it!
So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt on guard.
And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. On Guard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony.
Yes, I agree, Miss Andrews. Please correct your testimony, if you please.
Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right.
Hold it!
Has Mr. On Guard done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Corrida with his press conference, and that event was supposed to bring down Mr. On Guard, yet you still helped out.
Objection!
The person on trial right now is Mr. On Guard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder.
Hold it!
But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. On Guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. On Guard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time.
I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however.
The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife.
Hold it!
You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought, and during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence.
Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Did I say that out loud?
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony.
That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt.
Hold it!
And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly, or so I heard. I've heard that before too. But what if the button was ripped off and stained post-mortem? I don't know. Could be. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that, just because I'm prepared and you're not. And I thought I had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here, but where and what? But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him.
Hold it!
But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time.
Objection!
Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. On Guard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Corida planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. On Guard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant.
Objection!
This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please, stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press a little more. You should know this by now, but you will need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. I got it, Chief. I'm gonna pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a okay, let's see here. I had the feeling Matt was the murderer. I know what his motive was, but don't have any way to prove you're right. Didn't have an alibi. Button was torn off during his fight with Matt. Alright, let's see. Let's see what we got on the button there. Ripped from his costumes, covered in Corrida's blood. Found in Onguard's Hakima. She said it was during the fight with Matt. If it was during the fight with Matt, and not after the murder, why is it covered in blood? Alright, let's save here.
Objection!
Nope, that's not it. Okay. We're gonna load. Okay. Button was torn off during the fight with Matt, so... Gonna start looking up stuff just to help. Well, I appreciate that, but I'd really prefer to kind of figure this one out myself. If you want to look up stuff, you can. Well, no, actually, no. Don't look up anything. Don't look up anything. I forgot there's a thing about this case that you need to wait for. All right, let's see here. What is this? Turns out me was on bad terms on guard. Button was torn off. Didn't have an alibi. Let's try pressing this again here. She doesn't have any way to prove his motive. Okay, Mr. On Guard does something to hurt or betray you. Why do you ask? Press conference still helped out. Person on trial is Mr. On Guard, not Adrian. Motive. The defendant has the motive, but So what is the strong decisive evidence about? It's either got to be about Matt's motive, or it's got to be about that button. Let me... Maybe the article? No, that's not it either. Alright, I'm gonna look it up, because this is driving me nuts. Luckily, I've got the page pretty much already pulled up. I just need to get, let's see, Andrew's testimony for protecting Matt. Okay. Okay, I'm a dunce. I need to learn to read better. Okay, button is torn off during his fight with Matt, so... Well, no, I don't need to learn to read better, because this doesn't seem to make any sense, but,
Objection!
This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. It's a strangulation. The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does that mean?
Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume. It would mean it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means it's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle. No, that's... The button could have been torn off during that struggle, and then maybe blood got on it after the fact. Because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body.
Order! What is the meaning?
What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know that this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What is it?
To pin the crime on guard. There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There's no way anyone would put a bloody button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course.
And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the real world is the real killer then?
Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned and framed Mr. On Guard is...
Take that!
Miss Adrian Andrews, I choose you! You are Mr. Coriolis' killer. What?
Order! 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 Mr. Wright! This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge?
Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. What? How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he'd already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On Guard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then what about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. On Guard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews.
I see. What about the empty guitar case?
That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No,
Objection!
But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case, and it was you who proved she was not wearing gloves at the time.
That's right.
That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time.
Miss Andrews.
I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me.
Well, yes. You're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness not to testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On Guard's room... Adrian Andrews! Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done. What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence?
What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you've proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You've yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did, in fact, harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida.
Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida?
I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But, Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation.
I think we've reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof.
But that's not true!
In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess.
Recess?
I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial...
Tomorrow? We don't have tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial... Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya...
But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is...
Objection!
It is not impossible for this trial to continue.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you...
It's true, Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony.
Yes, that is very true, but...
Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews? When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they're shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please.
That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. That is not what you said earlier, woman! When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over.
So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony?
I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what in the heck is that going on in that brain of yours?
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there is a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. So it was a mess? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Corrida?
Objection!
I understand your frustrations and not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. Ugh. And then, what did you see next, witness? And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired-looking in the corner.
Hold it!
Slumped over? Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind.
Hold it!
Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix, and then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. In a chair? Anyways, that's what I thought.
I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all.
To be honest, I thought he just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice.
Hold it!
You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone.
Hello there.
Hello there, Reeve. How are you? Thank you for joining. Alright, I know at this point everybody in the chat is following each other, so I'll give you a shout out once we are... if we have any more people pop in. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice. Still feel like crap, but you're here. Alright, well, yeah, hope you feel better soon. He always has a hard time waking up, so Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink.
I see. And after that, what happened next?
The judge says a lot, I've noticed. I'm doing alright, Been a decent day thus far. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked over the flower vase.
Hold it!
And how did you come to realize that he was, in fact, dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backwards. And knocked the flower vase over, so that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? Alright, so... Juan was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. We're gonna save here. I've got a sneaking suspicion that... Okay, so the thought that he was dead didn't cross your mind. Well, there's one small problem with that. Should be the crime photo.
Objection!
So, you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? Ah!
What is the meaning of this?
Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There was a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corrida's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. Well, you see... I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted and then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink.
Your point is?
Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all just one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer. No!
Looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt on guard, is not guilty after all.
But that's impossible. You're wrong.
Miss Andrews, try to have some composure.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because...
Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you?
I refuse to testify.
Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt on Guard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated.
Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't.
Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt on Guard.
Objection!
Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time.
What?
The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth.
The absolute real truth? What are you...
Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt on Guard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then, right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on Guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get her not guilty. That's my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please, someone help me.
Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court can't continue on like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right, I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who was the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there. Right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Something's fishy here. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you are really hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Sure, Mr. On Guard would like to get an acquittal, but in his place you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me.
That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth.
You're wrong. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this. However...
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop!
Mr. Edgeworth?
This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop! Please stop! No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please, please stop! I beg you! If people find out, I'll... If you're going to say that you would choose death, that is of no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted. Honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. A bit of an inconvenience, huh? Interesting.
Stab the body with a knife, but why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. Certain cowardly man.
Huh? What do you mean by all of this?
It might take this court a little while to understand, but this is the truth. The real killer is Matt, that scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time? So Miss Andrews stabbed the victim Juan Corrida in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer?
Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination.
Alright, there's one sentence in particular that stood out. Alright, so let's... Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm only gonna bet my spikes it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out and get looking myself and get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the awards ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there.
And what is his secret?
That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave the Juan's room in the nickel samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I don't want to concede, but this testimony, it rings of the truth. I'm sorry, Phoenix. No, please, don't apologize to me. We were both taken by surprise. Still, I'm sorry. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. but you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth? Thank you for the wow, Reeve. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck, but that scarf is a part of the Jammin' Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Its own. And then when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Onguard's Hakama. Yes, that's what I planned to do. But things never do go that smoothly, do they?
I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Onguard's room and planted the button.
Into Matt's Hakama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word, what does all this mean?
Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Onguard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words.
What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain that she is not the real killer.
Wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it's not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything.
Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that witness was the culprit? That the witness was the culprit. Please, let it go, Mr. Wright.
But...
Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning.
Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately.
That is all. Court is adjourned for today.
Thank you, Digital, for the Metal Gear alert there. And welcome in. How are you doing? Okay, give me just a second here, guys. Also, great timing on that alert, too. Thank you. Alright, here. Let's see. Good, good. Just making dinner and finish watching the new Resident Evil 4 remake trailer. Yeah, how'd it look? What did you think? All right, and this is the point in time when I start doing these shout outs. So As the familiar refrain goes, lesson, lesson. If you see a stranger, follow him. So Revolution Live has been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Digital Seraphim. Let's see. It says games and demos, but it was Neo 2 last I saw, correct? Anyway, if you're not following these people, go follow them. You know, I'll wait. Okay, I'm done waiting. We're moving on. Today's trial, it's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave the court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright, I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. Sadler's redesign is cool. Krause looks good, but his voice actor is not it. They showcase some of the areas that used to be loaded with questions that are now reworked without them, like the minecart scene. Okay. Oh, questions. You mean QuickTime events? Because, yeah, that QuickTime events were just one of the ways to kill my enjoyment in that game. I managed to get through them without needing to, shut them down, but, yeah, not great. Anyway, I remember just now I found this in the room on that day. The room? Leon seems to have some guilt over not saving Ada from 2 that impacts his feelings towards his mission with Ashley. Yeah, I didn't mean the QuickTime events. Auto Kakarot strikes again. Gotcha. Also, if you're not in my Discord, the Discord is in the... it's a giant boulder. Yeah, I just need Chris to go punch it, huh? If you're not my Discord, the link is in the chat right there. Might want to join if you're not already with us. Okay. That day. Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying right there next to him. You found that card next to the victim's body? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why... Witness, that card, give it to me, hurry! Edgeworth? Do you have any idea what you've stupidly yet inadvertently done? I can't believe you hid this from me all this time! I didn't mean to... What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card, what in the world is it? And what does it mean? Alright, we're going to get more details about what that card is and what it means on Sunday. I need to give my voice a rest for the night. And thank you for the creepy sound alert, Ed Fan. Appreciate you. Alright, let's see here. We're going to find out who's online right now. Okay, I don't think I've given this guy a raid in a... Or, no. Wait, did I raid him recently? I don't recall, all of a sudden. I wish I had a history of who I raided recently and when. Actually, okay, on second thought, because I think I raided him a little bit more recently than him, I'm going to raid Sir Knight JCB. He is playing Hi-Fi Rush. So join me again on Sunday for more Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All. We're going to get some more information that I think will prove to be quite interesting on this case. But this is Dr. Novelle signing out for the evening. You all have a good one. Let us begin the raid.